My beloved brother and sister, life is full of tests, challenges, and moments when we feel weighed down by circumstances beyond our control. Every person, no matter their age, wealth, or status, will face difficulties at some point. The question is not whether hardship will come, but how we respond to it. The first step to guaranteed ease during hardship begins with unshakable faith. When the heart trusts in Allah's wisdom and mercy, it sees trials not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth, refinement, and closeness to the Creator. Faith is not something passive. It is an active surrender, a conscious choice to believe that whatever Allah has decreed is ultimately for our good. Even when the path seems dark, faith allows us to hold on to hope, knowing that no hardship lasts forever, and that behind every difficulty lies a lesson or a blessing, even if it is hidden. Prayer is the next pillar that brings immense comfort. When we stand in salah or raise our hands in dua, we are reminded that we are not alone. Life may feel overwhelming, but Allah is always near, listening to every plea, witnessing every tear, and responding in the way that is best for us. Prayer has the power to soothe the heart, clarify the mind, and instill patience in the soul. It reminds us that while we cannot control every circumstance, we can control our connection to the one who does. Turning sincerely to Allah in prayer transforms fear into hope, anxiety into trust, and despair into resilience. But faith and prayer, as powerful as they are, must be accompanied by action. Islam teaches that intention alone is not enough. Our efforts matter. Seeking solutions, taking practical steps, and persevering despite difficulties are acts of sincerity in themselves. Even small, consistent efforts during hardship are beloved to Allah and carry immense reward. Action bridges the gap between our reliance on Allah and the realities of life, and it demonstrates that our faith is alive, not idle. The combination of faith, prayer, and responsible action creates a balance that turns challenges into opportunities for success and growth. Finally, patience, gratitude, and reflection are the daily practices that sustain us through trials. Patience allows us to endure difficulties without despair, while gratitude keeps our hearts soft and aware of the countless blessings already present in our lives. Reflection enables us to learn from hardship, to see the wisdom behind trials, and to grow spiritually and emotionally. When we practice patience, gratitude, and reflection, we build resilience that no difficulty can break. These qualities transform challenges from burdens into stepping stones, leading us toward inner peace, contentment, and closeness to Allah. Remember, ease is guaranteed when faith steadies the heart, prayer lifts the soul, action demonstrates sincerity, and patience and gratitude guide the spirit. Life will always have its trials, but with these tools, every hardship becomes a lesson, every struggle a chance to grow, and every moment of difficulty an opportunity to draw nearer to Allah. Trust in Him, act sincerely, and persevere, and you will find that what seemed heavy becomes light, and what seemed impossible becomes achievable. Faith is the cornerstone of a believer's life, the solid foundation upon which everything else is built. When a person faces hardship, it is often faith that determines whether they will rise above the challenge or succumb to despair. True faith is not merely a statement of belief. It is a living, breathing trust in Allah, an understanding that His wisdom governs the universe, and that every situation, no matter how difficult it seems, is part of a divine plan. Life will inevitably present trials, but the heart that is anchored in faith sees these trials not as meaningless suffering, but as opportunities for growth, purification, and spiritual elevation. It is the believer's trust in Allah's wisdom that allows them to remain calm and steadfast even when the storm is raging around them. Unshakable faith is an active, not passive force. It is easy to claim belief when life is smooth, when everything is going according to plan. The true test of faith, however, comes during times of difficulty, when the path is unclear and the future feels uncertain. In those moments, faith becomes the rope that prevents a person from slipping into despair. It reminds the heart that Allah is all-knowing, all-wise, and most merciful, and that He never burdens a soul beyond its capacity. Faith gives meaning to trials, transforming them from senseless suffering into purposeful experiences that refine character, deepen patience, and strengthen reliance on the Creator. A heart rooted in faith does not see hardship as a punishment, nor does it question Allah's justice in a way that leads to bitterness. Instead, it recognizes that every challenge has a reason, and that Allah's wisdom encompasses far more than the human mind can comprehend. Faith teaches patience, and patience nurtures resilience. When a person truly believes that Allah is in control, they can endure difficulties with dignity, knowing that relief will come in the right time, in the right way. This trust in divine decree instills a sense of peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances, no matter how severe they may appear. Faith also motivates a believer to seek solutions without despair, to act responsibly while trusting in Allah's plan. It is a balance between reliance on the Creator and taking practical steps in the world. Faith does not mean passivity. It means understanding that while the outcome ultimately rests with Allah, effort, perseverance, and sincerity are part of the test. Every act of worship, every prayer, and every effort to improve oneself becomes a manifestation of faith, reinforcing the heart's connection to Allah. Ultimately, unshakable faith is what transforms hardship into opportunity. It allows a person to rise above fear, anxiety, and frustration, replacing them with hope, courage, and determination. It reminds the believer that no difficulty is permanent, no trial is meaningless, and no sorrow is without the possibility of relief. Faith becomes the light that guides the soul through darkness, the anchor that steadies the heart in turbulent times, and the strength that turns challenges into stepping stones towards spiritual growth and closeness to Allah. A life rooted in true faith is not free from hardship, but it is a life empowered to overcome it with patience, trust, and unwavering hope. Prayer is one of the greatest tools a believer has during times of hardship. It is the direct connection between the human heart and Allah, a channel through which hope, guidance, and relief flow. Life is full of challenges, and at times it may feel as though no one understands the weight on your shoulders. Yet prayer reminds us that we are never truly alone. Every heartfelt supplication, every act of worship, and every moment spent in humble communication with Allah carries immense power. Prayer is not just a ritual, it is a source of comfort, a means of speed. Ritual, renewal, and a reminder that Allah's mercy is closer than we often realize. Through salah, a believer aligns the heart, mind, and soul with the Creator. The physical acts of standing, bowing, and prostrating are expressions of surrender, humility, and trust. When the body submits, the heart follows, and the soul feels a sense of peace that cannot be found elsewhere. In the middle of trials, when the mind is overwhelmed with worry and fear, Salah provides structure, discipline, and a moment to reconnect with the one who controls all things. It is in these moments that the heart whispers its needs, and Allah listens in ways that human ears cannot hear. Dua, the personal supplication outside of formal prayer, is equally powerful. It is an intimate conversation with Allah, where a believer can pour out their fears, hopes, and desires without hesitation or reservation. There is a profound beauty in knowing that no dua is ever wasted. Every plea, every tear, every sincere word reaches Allah, and He responds in the way that is best for us, even if the answer is not immediate or in the form we expected. Dua strengthens hope and cultivates patience, reminding the heart that divine wisdom governs all outcomes. It allows a person to let go of anxiety, placing trust fully in Allah's hands. Prayer also teaches perspective. It reminds us that worldly difficulties, while real and challenging, are temporary, and that our ultimate reliance is on Allah. Through prayer, we realize that solutions do not always come from our own efforts alone, and that there is a higher power guiding the universe with perfect knowledge and mercy. Prayer encourages the believer to remain steadfast, to continue making sincere efforts, and to approach every problem with humility and determination. It transforms despair into hope, fear into trust, and confusion into clarity. Finally, prayer is a source of inner strength. It creates resilience in the face of hardship and instills patience when life feels overwhelming. It reminds us that Allah is always near, that He knows the burden of every heart, and that no effort to seek His help is ever ignored. Hardship may challenge us, but through consistent prayer we find the courage to persevere, the wisdom to make sound decisions, and the peace that surpasses understanding. A life immersed in salah and dua becomes a life empowered to face trials with faith, hope, and unwavering trust in the mercy and guidance of Allah. Faith and prayer are vital pillars for a believer, but they are only part of the journey. True reliance on Allah does not mean sitting idly while expecting change to happen miraculously. Islam teaches us that faith must be paired with action. While we trust in Allah's wisdom and turn to Him in sincere prayer, it is equally important to take practical steps to improve our situation. Action is the bridge that connects intention with outcome, demonstrating the sincerity of our faith and the authenticity of our trust in Allah. Without action, faith can become stagnant and prayer can feel incomplete. Taking action during hardship requires courage and perseverance. Often difficulties can be overwhelming and the weight of problems may make us hesitate or lose hope. But a believer understands that every effort, no matter how small, is significant in the eyes of Allah. Seeking solutions, making plans, and taking proactive steps are all forms of worship when done with sincerity and reliance on Allah. Each action reflects the principle that while Allah controls the outcomes, He also expects us to make an effort. Hardship is not a signal to give up. It is an invitation to rise, to try, and to demonstrate resilience. Action also nurtures hope. When a person pairs faith and prayer with tangible steps, they create opportunities for change and improvement. Even the smallest effort can lead to a breakthrough, and these efforts build confidence and inner strength. Islam emphasizes that results are in Allah's hands, but our role is to act responsibly and sincerely. This balance between reliance and effort is essential. It teaches that despair is not an option, and that every sincere attempt is valuable. By acting, we honor the trust we place in Allah, showing that our faith is alive and active rather than theoretical or passive. Moreover, action during hardship can inspire others. When people witness someone facing trials with patience, prayer, and consistent effort, it becomes a source of motivation and hope. Actions often speak louder than words. Striving to improve oneself, seeking lawful means to resolve difficulties, and persevering with dignity are all ways that faith manifests in the real world. It is not enough to pray for relief. We must also take the steps that bring relief closer, all while maintaining reliance on Allah's wisdom. Finally, action transforms challenges into opportunities. It allows the believer to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Every effort made in sincerity is a building block for character, teaching lessons of perseverance, humility, and reliance on Allah. Even if the desired outcome does not occur immediately, the process itself becomes a source of reward and learning. Faith, prayer, and action together create a harmony that equips a person to navigate hardships with patience, hope, and resilience. Through action, the believer becomes an active participant in their journey, demonstrating that reliance on Allah and personal effort are not mutually exclusive, but complementary forces that lead to ease, growth, and ultimate success. Patience, gratitude, and reflection are essential qualities that sustain a believer during times of hardship. Life is filled with trials that can test our resilience, our faith, and our perspective. Without these qualities, difficulties can overwhelm us, leading to despair, frustration, or even resentment. Patience allows the heart to endure challenges with dignity, to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, and to continue striving without giving in to hopelessness. It is more than simply waiting for problems to pass. True patience involves maintaining faith, trust, and composure while taking responsible steps to overcome difficulties. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the virtue of patience, teaching that it is a shield against the burdens of life and a source of immense reward. Gratitude complements patience in a remarkable way. Even during hardship, there are always blessings that remain, whether in the form of health, family, knowledge, or small daily comforts. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is already present, allowing the heart to find contentment, even when circumstances are difficult. A grateful heart recognizes that Allah's wisdom governs every aspect of life and that every challenge carries lessons or hidden benefits. Gratitude nurtures optimism and strengthens faith because it reminds us that despite temporary hardships, Allah's mercy and provision are abundant and ever-present. By practicing gratitude daily, a believer cultivates resilience, joy, and a sense of inner peace that external difficulties cannot diminish. Reflection. The third component allows a person to evaluate experiences, learn from trials, and grow spiritually. It is the practice of pausing to understand life's events, asking what lessons are embedded within challenges, and recognizing the guidance offered by Allah in every situation. Reflection transforms suffering into wisdom. It teaches humility by reminding the believer of their limited ions and dependence on Allah, and it encourages empathy by helping one understand the struggles of others. A reflective heart is a mindful heart, aware of the divine plan and attuned to opportunities for personal growth and improvement. Together, patience, gratitude, and reflection form a powerful combination that enables a believer to navigate hardship with strength and grace. Patience steadies the heart, gratitude softens it, and reflection sharpens the mind. They work in harmony to provide perspective, resilience, and spiritual nourishment. When practiced consistently, these qualities transform the way a person experiences difficulties. Challenges are no longer solely sources of stress or despair. They become opportunities for self-improvement, reliance on Allah, and deeper understanding of life's purpose. Ultimately, these daily practices remind a believer that life is transient, that difficulties are temporary, and that relief is always within reach through faith, effort, and trust in Allah. Patience, gratitude, and reflection are not just coping mechanisms. They are tools for building character, strengthening faith, and cultivating a heart that remains calm, hopeful, and connected to Allah regardless of the trials faced. By embracing these practices, a person develops resilience that withstands hardship, joy that persists in adversity, and wisdom that illuminates the path toward ease and success in both this life and the hereafter. In the journey of life, hardships are inevitable, but ease is always within reach for those who anchor their hearts in faith, connect deeply with Allah through prayer, take sincere and responsible action, and cultivate patience, gratitude, and reflection. These are not just practices, they are a way of life that transforms trials into opportunities, difficulties into lessons, and despair into hope. Faith steadies the heart, reminding us that every test has wisdom and purpose. Prayer lifts the soul, bringing comfort, guidance, and trust in Allah's perfect plan. Action turns intention into tangible results, demonstrating sincerity and perseverance. Patience allows us to endure with dignity. Gratitude helps us recognize blessings even amidst challenges. And reflection deepens our understanding, shaping us into stronger, wiser, and more resilient individuals. Remember, no hardship lasts forever, and no struggle is without meaning. When these principles are embraced, the believer learns that every trial carries the potential for growth, every challenge a hidden blessing, and every effort a reward in the sight of Allah. Life becomes less about fear and more about trust, less about despair and more about hope, less about helplessness and more about active perseverance. In the balance of faith, prayer, action, and mindful reflection, true ease is found, not as a mere wish or fleeting comfort, but as a lasting state of peace, resilience, and spiritual strength. So hold on to your faith, raise your hands in prayer, take purposeful action, and practice patience, gratitude, and reflection every day. Trust in Allah's wisdom and know that He has promised relief and reward for those who remain steadfast. With this approach, no hardship is insurmountable, no trial unbearable, and no darkness without light. Ease is guaranteed for those who walk this path with sincerity, trust, and unwavering hope. Allah Hafiz, everyone.